Good day, podcast community. PeteKane here, Podcast Pete and certified high performance coach. We have a special guest. We see each other on Thursday morning. We hang out together at our Rotary, and we're doing this one as On the Move with North Cobb Rotary. And we're going to talk some geeky marketing language too. So be ready to receive some cool stuff from our guest, Terry Gibson. So Terry, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Okay, so my name is Terry Gibson, as Pete just stated. I am a marketing director for my company, which is Brookhaven Hathaway Marketing Agency. Basically, I promote businesses. I come up with tactics to help them increase their revenue, how to bring in traffic. We actually have a lot of different marketing methods that we do, but basically that's what I do is help businesses promote. And I'm sure we'll go into more detail as to how.
Yes.
You just see, I serve God.
Ooh, I love that one, man. Hey,
I,
we're going to have a good podcast because that's
I serve God, and I have for all my life, and
yeah,
I love Him, believe Him, trust Him, walk with Him every day.
awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Terry, we speak the same language. We
Yes.
speak actually two of the similar, actually three: English, we speak Jesus, and we speak marketing. So that's three pretty powerful languages. So let's go to the marketing.
Yes.
Like, what interests you in marketing when you like started getting involved in that industry?
I love this course, and people laugh, but it is a true story. When I was 7 years old, my favorite show was Bewitched because Darren worked for McMahon and Tate, which was a marketing advertising agency. And Darren, you would come up with jingles and slogans. And at 7 years old, I said, I want to do that. I want to be marketing because I want to help companies and I want to do commercials and billboards and all that stuff at age 7. And I actually kept that passion like all my life. So when I went to college, I studied advertising and marketing, and it
Mm-hmm.
started there. That's just when the light bulb came on that this is what I want to do. And I never, at any point, did I ever change my mind.
Ooh, I love it. You know, it's funny you say that because similar is I was in the restaurant business years ago, the distributor part, and most of my colleagues were ex-chefs and they were in that restaurant. But I would focus on the marketing, and I love the idea of helping a restaurant, generate traffic and do all the things to make them, not the well-kept secret that sometimes we use that strategy, but that never works. And in marketing, it never works because
Yeah.
you can't be a best kept secret. Now, tell us, because marketing in the whole world is turning upside down here with AI and all the new technologies. How do you, as a marketing person that's in your blood from a young age, how are you adapting to the change that we're seeing?
Well, Pete, I still have, I'm kind of, I don't want to say old school. My passion will always, though, be print media. I still, I own 2 magazines. I still love magazines, but I incorporate the AI. At first, I ran from it like everybody else, but I
Mhm.
realized it wasn't going anywhere. So the magazines that I have, even though they're print, they are digital. They're all digital. Everything I have is digital now. So I've automated my business. Where I have, I'm meeting with someone this week, as a matter of fact, and we're going to have AI phone calls. In my videos that I do for my clients now, we use AI, whereas
Mhm.
we used to have a lot of live people. So we just incorporate and just learn how to embrace it. I took some classes just to learn it because
Mhm.
I realized that I have to be competitive. My 26-year-old son told me, he said, Mom, you got to come up. You got to come up. I said, what does come up mean? He said, you can't run away from technology. You have to embrace it if you're going to still be successful in your business. So I
Okay.
took his advice.
I love that because I feel the same way. My girls are 38 and 34, and years ago, this is when Facebook was just starting out, and my oldest would say, "Dad, you love marketing. You ought to do Facebook." I said, "That's for kids, man. I'm not doing that stuff." And and then when I finally did it, I saw all my nephews and nieces from out of town. I kind of knew what's going on because we're kind of down here. Our family is a little, Richmond is where we have a lot of our family. So I was able to kind of know what was going on, and it opened up a whole new world,
Yes.
that connection. So, how do you, as a marketing person, and I know because when I had a stroke, I had to rebuild my neuro pathways, and I got off social media, and I haven't gone back because I felt like a different person because all the different they're trying to get us to consume people, and we're born to create. So
Right.
it's a battle back and forth. How do you handle being in marketing and you know you can be on TikTok for 3 hours and not even realize you've been on there for that long? How do you control, or what boundaries are you able to do as a business owner to balance that consumption versus creating?
Consumption versus creating. I assume you meaning like the time I spend on social media. Is
Yeah,
that
like we're like the average person watches 4 hours of TV, almost 2 hours of social media, and they're consuming media. It's not really social, but they're consuming it because the longer you're on a platform. But as a business owner, if you're always consuming, you're not going to get anything done. So how do you balance that?
well, Pete, one thing that really helps me is that I was not a person who really embraced social media to begin with. I was probably one of the last to go to gravitate towards it, even for business. So
Hmm.
some of that resistance is still there, and I can say this in a nice way if I say I don't really like it, but
Hmm.
I know that it's necessary for my business.
Yeah.
So, when I go on there, I know it has to be for business. But at one time, and it's embarrassing to say this, owning a marketing business, but I like transparency. At one time, I took Facebook off, just deleted it because I thought if I go on here, I'm going to be on here 2 hours. So I deleted it for 2 whole weeks. And it was
Hmm.
just like I just kind of like not like punished myself, but just said, if this is the only way it's gonna make me stop, then I have to just get off of it like a drug addict. So I took
Hmm.
it off my phone, took it off my laptop. But then my husband's so funny. He said, "But you need it. You have an advertising agency. You can't not have Facebook on your." So we put it back on there for business. So
Hmm.
just to answer the question, I still have, maybe it's a little easier for me than some because it was not my favorite thing to do to begin with. But it
Hmm.
does still require discipline. Like I'll go on there, I'm on Facebook and I'm looking at something I did or something I'm working on for a client. I have to go and I have to make myself go. Now don't go look at everything else that happened today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just have to just say, okay, boundaries. Like, wait, I've been on here 30 minutes, it's time to go.
Hmm. Good. What would you like? We're seeing all this innovation change, and we're kind of like your kids are a little younger than mine, and we're like your son is, telling you to come on, mom, you got to get with the world here. It's you can't just not do it. How are you learning? Like, what has been your tip or strategy that you're able to at because the generations are quite different. Our kids are just they're born with it, they do it. It's so easy, but we're more learning it and adapting to it. How do you keep up with your learnings, that learning appetite that we have to kind of embrace?
Well, there are a lot of I took and I don't even remember the name of it, but I took a YouTube class on AI. I'm a person, Pete, who I learn a lot by doing. Like, and this is kind of rolled back a little bit, but I did not. I always wanted to learn how to do professional PowerPoints, and I didn't know. And I literally, and I don't say this to brag. I thank God for this. I literally went to the computer and just started putting in slides and putting in music, and I messed up, and I kept going until I did an awesome PowerPoint. So with the AI, I thought, wow, I want to learn how to do a video. And then my husband showed me a little of it because he's 20 years IT. So I do have that as a plus. But
Mhm,
he only showed me enough to make me learn.
mhm,
So the same thing. I just thought, well, AI video, okay, go to ChatGPT. Let's figure out how to do it. Let's read it. Let's mess up. So a lot of it was what I call trial by error. But I did take a YouTube class, and I did sign up for, on YouTube and Facebook, they have these AI classes. I
Hmm.
actually attended someone that I know. I attended an AI seminar with someone who showed how to use AI for newsletters and that type of thing. So I have done some in-person classes. I have done some YouTube classes, and like with the videos, I just thought, okay, I'm just going to learn it. Just, just, just play around with it. I do better when I just play around with things than when I get a lot of instruction. It's a little bit, it's backwards. I'm reverse. I think I have reverse logic of the average brain, because I have to learn mine by doing more so than do a lot of classroom and videos. I have to play with it and mess it up, and play with it and mess it up and go. And so I've done a lot of that.
That's it's funny you say that because that's exactly me too. Because I had a guy that was showing me a wireless mic from my church, and he helps me on my live events. And when he comes over, then I say, "All right, I got to do it," because I have to actually go through the process of doing it and
Right.
working on it, and then I can outsource things. But I think it's so important to do it first so you can
Yes.
understand it.
Yes.
What would you say, like, when you look at and I'm going to tie this to our Rotary, business is relationships.
Hmm.
And we were kidding at the last social. I said, Terry, it's great to see you come out of your shell. And we were kidding. Of course, for those that don't know you, you haven't met a stranger at all. But you're married to somebody that's more introverted.
Yes.
how and this is going back to the Rotary,
Mhm.
so how important are relationships, and what has the North Cobb Rotary kind of, for the people who never don't even know about Rotary, never been, if you could just share with our viewers a little bit about your personal experience with that.
Oh wow, Pete. I have been in the Rotary less than a year, and it has made a big difference, not just for me, for even my family. I have met some great people, and just some great experiences, business and personal. I've met some people who've become, I consider, my friends, like you and some other people. I've
Mhm.
met some people who have. Last week I had a long talk with Ralph, who gave me some business advice. So I've had people who kind of embraced me and offered kind of like impromptu mentoring.
Mhm.
I've had that, I've had an opportunity to do some business with a lot of people in the Rotary.
Mhm.
Last week, if I can share this story because I love it. Am I allowed to call her name? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I met with Maria last week, and as it turns out, Maria and I are from the same hometown.
Really?
Yes.
That's
And how
crazy.
I found out is when she called me, I was in the parking lot. I saw the area code, and I went. And so I said, "Oh my God." And it was so special. We were meeting, and I began to feel it really lightheaded because it was like I hadn't had lunch, and I said we're going to have a short meeting. Then I was going to go to lunch. Well, we ended up having a 3-hour meeting, and I was feeling very, very, very lightheaded. And I told her, I said, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go next door and get something to eat and come back. She said, oh no, 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 you don't have to do that. She said, I always have food. And I thought like she has food for her, but I don't want to eat her food. Well, Pete, really, Maria's amazing because she said, no, I always have food. She orders double for someone in case people stop by. Now, who does that but a person with a big heart?
Wow.
So she had empanadas, which I love. She had plantains, she had cookies. Listen to this. She even had electrolytes. She said, you need electrolytes because if your glucose is dropping, you need electrolytes. But she shared it so freely, and that's the day I realized. I said, you know what? We say this, it's a cliche, but there really is a magic of Rotary because you have someone like her who very easily could have said, well, yeah, you can run to the restaurant. And she said, anytime you're in the area, just swing by because I always have, like it's around lunchtime. She said, I always order extra food because I order for the people in the gallery. But
Uh,
it's how she shared so freely.
yeah.
Then we found out we're from the same hometown. So there is a magic of Rotary. So it is done. I think I have been one of the ones in a short length of time who has been so blessed,
Yeah.
so blessed.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I go home to Richmond where a lot of my family, and I go up there and there's a one like ours. It's just a little smaller, but when I walked in, I felt like I was in our Rotary because people were coming up saying hello, and they were just so giving and so nice and kind. And it's like, so I tell my friends, I say, hey, you want to go with me to Rotary on Friday? They go, what's Rotary? I mean, it's kind of like none of my friends knew that what it was.
Mhm.
And so, and a lot of times we think that a lot of people know about it, but it's not as well known
No,
to the outside community. You might see a logo, but you don't know the people behind that logo. You don't know
exactly.
the people that meet on, because you're right. When you walked into that, I know when I walked in, because Mara was invited me. I was at an event and she brought up the word Rotary, and I said, "Oh, really? I used to be in Rotary 25 years ago." I said, "Where do y'all meet?" And she says, "Copeland's." I said, "Dang, that's right up the street from where I live." So I went, and the first time I walked into that breakfast, it was like the energy was off the chain, and it was just, I mean, you could feel it, you could see it, and it was just so much fun. So what have you done as far as, like, I always like to see how people are serving. Have you, and I don't even know the answer to this, but have you been stepping up in any specific area that you would want to share with our viewers, that so they can get an idea of just the service nature of Rotary?
Yeah, well, I remember my first service project was I was a judge at we had a Black History program at what was the name of the school? I don't know. It was a middle school somewhere, and it was a Saturday morning, and I was a judge. I did that with some high school kids, and that was so rewarding. And it was look, I was learning with them. I was like, oh my god, I got this answer right. I got this one wrong. And
Mhm.
then I did another service project where we fed senior citizens at
Mhm.
another location. I just remember it was in Ackworth, and it was about seven of us, and it was good because not just serving, but I actually got to know the other Rotarians because we were working a shift together. So
Mhm.
we began to talk. I remember talking to Charles about what he did because I didn't know him till then. I
Yeah.
remember talking to Alex Alabi. So and that's I think that's where I actually met Nancy's husband. So
Okay.
the service gives you an opportunity too to meet people.
Mhm.
And I just signed up for one last week, and then I also was able to provide to do we were able to alter the t-shirt design and bring in a t-shirt that the Rotary needed, which
Mhm.
were dry fit because they had the warm ones, the tumblers.
Yeah.
So, from a professional
Show our
standpoint,
viewers, because I
yes,
have one, but it's downstairs. I was there with my daughter. Show our viewers the tumbler. Now turn, yeah,
is
turn.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
look at that. Yeah, I use it all the time now, and actually when I got the T-shirt, I had one when I joined, but it shrunk up a little bit, so I didn't wear it as much. But the dry fit is, I had it on yesterday. It's in the wash now, but I love it. It's just a comfortable shirt. I take it to the gym just so people will ask me, what is Rotary, or just good conversation with people. So
Yes, I also too want to mention this in the
yeah,
the issue of the magazine that we have that's going out this week. We donated a full page to North Carolina Rotary, where we have a write up on the Rotary and some photos. So we're helping to get the Rotary out there.
yeah, that's so good. I'm a firm believer is the digital and the print together, they're better.
Hmm.
And it's just like there's so many people. I met this one person at an event a month ago, and I called, and his answering service was, or his answering system was so automated, I hung up, because sometimes people, you try to take them through all these sophisticated automation, and look, they don't want it. It's like you can't force the seniors to go digital. They have to have they have to have print along with, yeah, their kids are teaching them a little digital, but if you just cram digital down somebody's throat, they're going to throw it up. And that's what I love. So tell me, I'm curious about the magazine, because I think we chatted about real quickly. So what is your, what's the purpose of the magazine that you have, and what kind of audience does it reach?
Well, we started kind of shift the focus. It's funny. It started because the name of it actually literally is the business boom. And this is actually my second magazine in 2009. I'll date myself a little here. I had a magazine that was two areas, back then, because back then that was before digital was really hot. So
Hmm.
I had Austell and Paulding County. So and I stopped for a few years and I started this one back this year. So this one is called the Business Bum because the focus initially was on entrepreneurs, just to introduce the small businesses who don't get the exposure. That was the primary. And also to spread some good news because we have motivational things in there and, all good news. But with the last issue, and I'm proud to say, thank God, number one, we doubled the pages, but we incorporated resources. Like we brought in information on the Rotary. I met with someone at Georgia Power. I didn't know Georgia Power has resources for families in need. I didn't even know this.
Hmm.
So we were able to get some information from Georgia Power and Talatuna and agencies that help. So we've shifted a little bit to having more content that in this day and time addresses some of the needs people have. So there's still the business part, but now it's turning more into let's talk about what's going on in the community. Let's find resources for people. Eventually, we'll incorporate help wanted ads to
Hmm.
help find employment. So it'll be all around and it'll still be in that area to serve and
Hmm.
to be something that I feel like people need. There's always good news in there. We have the words from the song, If I Can Help Somebody. That's actually in the beginning of the magazine for this issue because it just focuses on being helpful to people because we need it right now.
That's so wonderful. Come back to just a second, but in you talking about that, I noticed there's one word that was kind of in everything you explained: service and
Mhm,
serve.
mhm.
So, was there something like growing up that kind of led you to see the benefits of serving? When did you start thinking of that service mindset?
Well, Pete, because I am a person who has lived, I call both ends of the spectrum. We've lived really high on the horse. We've traveled, blessed. We've been able to take our kids to Hawaii for Thanksgiving and been to a lot of different countries and been able to spend a week in Mexico and drive nice cars. And I don't say that brag. I thank God for that. But we also have had some difficult times where we didn't have nice cars. We didn't have any cars, and we understood what it's like to have a bill collector call and you don't have an answer for him.
Hmm.
you know, or like the agencies now have to call and set up payment arrangements. So having lived here on the high horse and also have lived here, it gave me a mindset of what it's like to understand how you can be here and then life can change. As you've seen so many people recently who were here and now they're there. But having lived that just gave me a lot of empathy and compassion and for wanting to help people.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. I had a gentleman on my podcast and we were kidding because I asked him afterwards, like, how did you find me? And he goes, I don't know. Um, but what he said was he grew up in a concentration camp at age 5. So he saw the kind of like your typical 5-year-old doesn't grow up like that. So it shaped him because he said PTSG, and the G stood for growth. So we go through trauma, we go through tough times, and we can either wither and be bitter, or we can grow. When you were going through the tough times, when the bill collector's calling, when you're in the middle of a storm, you're obviously not like celebrating, but when you get on the other side of it, what did you learn, or how did you grow through that time of your life?
Well, I think two things. Number one, it was my faith really that got me through it. And it was always having that ability to see the other side. I think it's important when you're in that season to believe and to see that you will come out. Like you have to physically see it. You can't just say it. You have to see that, okay, I won't always get calls from bill collectors. I won't always drive a crappy car. Nothing wrong with crappy cars. But anyway, if you have a certain car you want to drive, I will have that one day. I will have a lifestyle that I cannot just pay my bills for somebody else. You have to be able to see it. So for me, it was always having a vision
Hmm.
that it would not be that way always And just knowing that, and I just shared this with my 26-year-old son because he's just starting his family. And I just,
Mhm.
2 days ago, I had this conversation. I said, life is a journey. I wish as a mom I could promise you. I said this to both of my sons. I wish I can promise that it's always going to be sunshine, but God's always going to be with you if you keep Him with me, and you always have to keep that fight in you. But I think we know that in life is a journey, so I think there are highs and lows, and I think they serve a purpose, to be honest. Because sometimes, as I said, my empathy for others came from learning what it's like to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe I would not have had that had I not gone through it. I don't know, but I think it shapes you and molds you. It also makes you appreciate, because sometimes you take things for granted. You appreciate the fact that, wow, I have money to pay my bills now. Now I can live. You're more appreciative of it. But I
Hmm.
just think to be well rounded, and I don't say like everybody's got to have a hard time, but I think to be well rounded, it just has a purpose that sometimes kind of what the other side of life.
Mm.
It
Oh,
shapes you. It shapes you.
that's so good. So, as a mom and as a parent, what are you most proud of with your boys? Like, we never know until usually later how those things that we do when they're growing up. But what are you most proud of today that you can say, like, you know,
Yes.
thank you.
Well,
I'm
my
glad.
29-year-old moved to Sacramento, California, a year and a
Hmm.
half ago. He has no relatives out there, just
Mm.
some friends, some people that he knows from college.
Hmm.
And I'm very proud of him, because for him to, I was never that person. I mean, I moved away from home, but I moved 2.5 hours from my hometown, you
Yeah.
know, but I was never that person who could actually go and live somewhere like that. But before that, he had went to live with my sister in Ohio for years. So he's always been an independent person. So I'm glad that he can do that he can live that far from home and be okay. Like he doesn't call for money. We Most of the time we have to call him, but he's able to live and function and find his own way. And
Mm.
I had someone told me recently, and I didn't understand what she meant. She said, you'll never have to worry about him. And I said, I appreciate that. I said, well, why do you say that? And she said, because if he can go that far away from you, his dad, his brother, all of his relatives, and make it on his own, she said that means he can survive. And she said, you really raise your children to be that way. That's why you raise them to be on their own.
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud of him for that. And my 26-year-old just became a father.
Mm.
So I'm a grandmommy, and he has very small kids, like 1 year old and like a few weeks old. And he is the greatest dad. He
Mm.
is the greatest. But I just appreciate for him how he stood up. And my youngest son is very resilient, like me. Like he's gone through this, and he's had, like the good jobs and not so good jobs. But he is just, I mean, he keeps fighting, he keeps pushing, but he
Hmm.
is just the greatest dad. So I'm just really glad of how he has embraced this part of his life. And just like I said, just an amazing father.
Ooh, that's so good. Thank
Yes.
you for sharing that with us. What
Yes.
would you like when you're not, have that marketing mind, you're thinking of ideas and you're not being the mom and the spouse. What do you like to do to kind of unwind or enjoy yourself? Is there anything you could share with our viewers?
Well, I really love traveling. We don't travel as much as we, but I love traveling, and I love going for walks. I just FYI, I walk every morning for about
Mm.
30 minutes. Sometimes I have walked an hour and a half, but I love walking because I can meditate and I can talk to God and I can hear the birds and I love walking. As a matter of fact, if I go 2 days without walking, I'll get an attitude.
Yeah.
But but I do. I love walking, and I like restaurants, like hobby.
Hmm.
I always say, in another life or something, I would be a food connoisseur. But I love to. I tell my husband, when we become really, 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 really rich, and I said, I would just love to like go to all these places, just to still take pictures and
Yeah.
all these different types of cuisines. That's something I've always wanted to do. But even now, we do it on a smaller scale. But yeah, my morning walking, my meditation,
Uh-huh.
very, very important to me. And traveling when I can, even if it's a local, like we'll go to Chattanooga for the weekend or we'll go to Helen, Georgia. I love just being in the car, just riding and seeing the mountains and the hills and even just the highway.
Oh, that's so good. I had, like, I grew up dyslexic and ADD, so I had a lot of a lot of chaos going on in my brain. I mean, it was active. So I started meditating probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. And it was the best thing of really calming down my brain. And you're right about, I sit out on my porch. I'll do all my work in the morning and then I call and I edit and just do some things where the birds, you can hear the birds, see the bees. You just being there with nature really does ground you. So, because it's fast pace out there. And if you get caught in just being so caught up in the busyness of life and you can't walk and smell the roses, and meditation, I think for me has been the best thing I've ever adopted to calm down my brain
And
and
I
to
also love flowers. I'm sorry to interrupt
really
you.
no go ahead. No, I love
I'm in my yard. It's so funny this time of year. Sometimes my husband says I'm outside more than I'm inside.
yeah.
I plant flowers, still old school. And my sister said, "Oh, a lot of people have artificial flowers now." I said, I told her I don't have a problem with that, but I still like to dig in the sand and
Mhm.
connect with nature. And so I do the whole flower, like the sand digging. And sometimes I can be outside for an hour, hour and a half. I caught myself the other night. It was 8:30, Pete, and I was outside. I said, "Oh my God, it's dark." And the night lights had came on, but I was just sitting in a chair, just looking at the flowers and I thought, "Oh God, I've got to get out of this yard. I'm at 8:30 at night. What the heck am I doing?" Things I thought by now things are creepy crawling, but I
Yeah,
just got caught up. I love planting flowers and playing in the soil too.
that's awesome. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy path
No,
because, Friday, there's not a guaranteed paycheck.
no,
You have to create the value.
yes.
So speak to my community that are thinking of being an entrepreneur or in the journey, but they haven't seen the light at the end or haven't really got that momentum. What is the biggest advice you could give somebody on that entrepreneurial journey that you've discovered in
I
yours?
think you have to find what your passion is. And we say that sometimes like it's a cliche, but it's not. It's like I have always shared since I was 7 years old. I have always loved advertising and marketing. Like I don't think there was a time in life that I've ever wanted to do anything different. 2020 was probably the toughest year because we had the pandemic. But you also have to keep reinventing yourself because in 2020, this is so funny. Transparency. I did not know, Pete, how to do a Zoom before 2020, let alone a PowerPoint. I was just like, I don't want to learn anything like that. I just want to talk to people and just sell ads. But in 2020, I had to adapt. So I had to learn things. I had to adapt. So you have to be adaptable. You
Mm-hmm.
have to find your passion because a lot of times in life we see people making money. We want to do it because they're making money, not
Yeah.
because it's in our heart to do. But if it's not in your heart to do, it's not going to make you money. And I don't say that to be negative. I mean, I don't say that to be mean, but I'm saying, well, let me just rephrase it. You can make more money if you do what you like. Like even in my business now, and another thing, so it's three things. You have to find your passion, you have to be adaptable, and then you have to realize that I think we aren't by nature, they're all good at everything. So when I had, for years, I would just do everything for myself because I
Mm-hmm.
was, oh, I don't want to let anybody in. They may steal my business, they may steal my clients. But now, by the grace of God, I have like different people doing different things, and it's okay to say that person is better than that me. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to say that person can do social media better than me. I'm okay with it. I know my specialty is I love print media. This is my home. This is my heart. So I
Mm-hmm.
work better here because when I go too far in somebody else's lane, because there's a difference in being adaptable and just outright doing something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
There's a fine line. So I think bringing people in, and I had a mentor who told me one time because I always call him like every other month, and I was like, "Oh, I've added on this," and I said, "We're doing merchandise now, we're doing this," and he was very quiet. And he said, "I'm gonna ask you one question." He said, "So you got 5 more things in your business?" He said, "How many more people did you bring?" He said, your answer should not be zero. Because he said, if you just brought in 5 more jobs and you're doing them, you're not growing.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to be very stressed and very overwhelmed. And he said, the answer should be, as I bring these things in, I brought people in. And he said, because if you're still trying to be superwoman, you're going to be so tired, so exhausted. So be willing sometimes to say and pray. I mean, I prayed for help because I had to, but it took a long time because that control, we like having that. Like, oh,
Mhm.
nobody can do this but me, but that's not true. There are people who can come in and do better. So I would say three things. You got to find your passion, you have to be adaptable, and you have to be willing to bring in help and to embrace help, because that doesn't mean you're not good at everything. And you think about corporations, that's why they have a marketing department and a finance department. You don't have Coca-Cola, just one department. So we want our businesses to grow, then we have to think like the Fortune 500 companies, and we have to have people that we can delegate things to.
That is great advice. Now, I'm going to come back and I want you to tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you. But before I do that, I want to give our viewers a gift that will help them. It's a gift of learning. We give this to people because we want you to grow. We want you to learn. It's a $300 course. It's 12 sessions. And all you have to do is go to PeteKane.me/connect, use the word gift, and that'll waive the $300 charge for the course. So you can start your journey, because as an entrepreneur, just like you said, Terry, you have to be adaptable. You have to be always learning. You have to, become better. And you got to look in the mirror and say, how can I become better? So we want to help our viewers on this journey by giving them a gift of learning. So just go to PeteKane.me/connect and use the word give. Now, as we close out, I want you to tell our people, hold on here as I get this. All right, let me go to, hold on here, where we can get them to get a hold of you, Terry. I think, let's see if I change screens here. Got to be multitasking. That's not
Yes,
my thing.
yes,
Okay, hold on. I think, let's see if I, nope, that's the last guess. Hold on, there we go. Oh, I put it in the wrong area. Okay, I know where
it's
it is now.
it's okay.
Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, so Terry, tell our viewers, how can they get a hold of you?
Okay, so you can reach me directly. My business line is 770-480-2356. Feel free to contact me on my cell number. I'm always in touch with my business. It's 770-317-2421. You can visit our website. Our website has contact information where you can email me there or do a private chat or one of those methods.
Mhm. Awesome. All right, Terry, thank you. I want to be respectful of time because I know you, being an entrepreneur, you stay busy. No grass is growing under your feet except when you're out doing the flowers. You might be barefoot just to connect with Mother Nature. Now,
Yes.
tell our viewers, like, what would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on the podcast?
I would say have vision. Vision is so important. I tell my sons this all the time. One of my favorite Bible scriptures is where he says, "Write the vision and make it plain." And
Mm-hmm.
and I do that, Pete. I write down things, like I think about it, but I have to write it because I'm a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, my husband was presenting an idea to me. And the first thing I told him, I said, write it down and email it to me. And I would look at it when we get home, because I was out when he was telling me. I said, I can't, my mind can't conceive it when we're talking, write it down. And I said, and if you write it down, we have a roadmap to what you just said. If you
Yeah.
just don't write it down, it's like a shot in the air. So you have to have a vision. And I don't care what goes on in life, keep your vision. And everything in life, all roads lead to where you want to go. So even if it's something that kind of intercepted your play, does not mean that that wasn't still part of your journey. How many times have we had something where we had a plan, but then we got derailed? We thought it was derailed. We met this person, but that person was instrumental. I'll share this with you, even about the Rotary, which has been so huge in my life. I met Ada through someone that I was working with for a project that fell through, but he introduced me to Ada. So
Hmm.
sometimes our paths are just kind of circumvented, but they're still part of your journey. So don't get discouraged if you get sidelined or knocked down. Just get back up and just realize that even in that, some good will come out of it if you stay
Right.
focused and keep the faith.
Well, we're in baseball season. I'm going to say that was just a grand slam home run for our viewers. So
Well,
take that in. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And Terry, thank you so much for
sure.
being a guest on the podcast. And we appreciate what you do at Rotary too. And I drink out of my mug and I wear my shirt, my dry fit shirt, wherever I go. So thank you for providing that for us.
Thank you, Pete, for having me. It's very good too to be on. And another good advice: it's really good in life to talk about yourself. When you hear yourself talk about you and some of your journeys, it actually helps you. So, do a podcast. Come and do one with Pete because he's
Hey,
great.
look, listen to Terry because I'm always asking people to come on the podcast because we do not want in business, a well kept secret is not a strategy that you want in business. You got to shine out because if you shine out, they can see that sunshine, and the ones that want it will come because
Yes.
but they can't read your mind. They don't automatically know what you're doing. So you have to be good at shining out your business and letting people know. So thank you, Terry,
Thank
so
you,
much
Pete.
for being a guest on our podcast.